FNB, your bank for life. The official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Premier ER and Urgent Care. Feel better now. Nissan. Innovation that excites. Get ready for all the post-game action. Starting right now.
A game that was there for the taking turns into an inexplicable loss tonight in Boulder. Heartbreak in the Big 12 opener as the Bears have an opportunity right in front of them to win this football game, but fall short. A finish that featured two just shocking plays. One, a Hail Mary by Colorado to send it to overtime. The other, a fumble through the end zone right as Dominic Richardson was about to break the plane of the goal line, potentially tie the football game up. Instead, it's a touchback, and Colorado wins by a score of 38-31 in overtime. Good evening, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us. Alongside Baylor legend Bryce Hager and our producer Aaron Sexton, I'm Derek Smith. 38-31 the final. It was never a pretty game, but the Bears made enough plays to win. It was there for the taking. Special teams came up big. The defense was gritty this evening. They gave up some plays, but got pressure on Shedeur Sanders. 8 sacks this evening, 3 quarterback carries, 7 passes broken up. You thought that was going to be the story, but instead the story is a miracle Hail Mary by Colorado, and then as Baylor was knocking on the door to perhaps tie the game or maybe even go for 2, we'll never know because the ball was jarred loose from Dominic Richardson just before he was about to cross the goal line, and it's fumbles through the end zone, and Baylor falls 38-31. Bryce, this is one of those games that takes a minute to process when you're done because it was a hard-fought game between two pretty evenly matched teams, just like everyone thought it was going to be. It was right there. Baylor, essentially gave up 2 Hail Marys in the final seconds. One was a drop, the other was a catch, and that ended up being the difference in this football game, and I think that's a play that hopefully Baylor wins more football games down the line, and it just kind of stings, but right now I think that's going to be a moment that's going to linger in Baylor fans' minds for a while.
Oh, I mean, definitely. Games like this, big moments like that, you have to be at your best. If you got new guys in or whoever's in, you got to make sure they know what's going on, make sure those guys are at their best and know the stakes that are on the line. I mean, like you said, they had 2 opportunities at the Hail Mary. First one was dropped, and the second one didn't go our way. And so that's a game we have to finish. That's a game we have to win. I mean, there's no excuses. I mean, a big stage like that, away game, you come out with a victory out of Colorado, you got a lot of momentum going into next week. That's not the case. We're going to see how resilient our guys are, how they're going to bounce back, how are they going to respond to a game next week in McLean Stadium moving forward in the Big 12 Conference.
And it feels a little flat to say right now in the moments after this game, but this was, use the word resiliency. The Bears are going to have to show it, and this was a hard-fought game tonight. The Bears showed some fight. They threw some haymakers, made some big plays on defense and on special teams in particular, a couple of big offensive plays. The defense was out on the field a long time but kept finding ways to come through, a lot of pressure on Sanders. And, so that was a positive to be sure. But then you also look at that fourth quarter, and I think here's what's going to sting. After the go-ahead touchdown pass to Hal Presley, which was really the best pass by Sawyer Robertson on the night, just dropped a dime that Hal Presley only needed one hand to catch. Boy, the Baylor defense was fantastic. At one point, getting 4 sacks in 5 offensive plays, sacks by Keaton Thomas and Steve Linton. They forced a punt. Baylor got another great return, and were set up well in their own field, deep on the Colorado side of the field. Got a little conservative, settled for a field goal that was missed. So there they had a chance to go up by 10. So Colorado gets the ball back, and they made some plays, but Baylor made some plays too. Baylor broke up some passes, continued to get pressure in the backfield. But then as Colorado advances to the Baylor 43-yard line, they have time for 2 plays. One, Will Shepard got behind Caden Jenkins and simply dropped it And on the next, obviously, we know what we know what happened. LeJontay Wester caught it just inches off the ground on the 43-yard pass from Shedeur Sanders. Steve Linton almost got there, but he didn't quite get there. Baylor had defenders in the end zone, but weren't able to make the play. So let me ask you, Bryce, I think this is going to be probably people's biggest question on the evening. The Hail Mary, you had, 3 guys lined up in the end zone at the start. What did you see, and why was Colorado able to convert? You can take us as deep inside that as you want, Bryce.
I mean, you look at it. It looked like we didn't have contain to the field side, and once he caught the ball, he rolled out and didn't have anyone in his face. He had the time he needed to set his feet, make the throw he wanted to throw. 3 guys in the end zone. There shouldn't be an excuse for the ball to be in a lane like that for him to make a play on it. Great play by Colorado receiver, turning to the ball, finding it, but that's no excuse on our guys. You got to know what we're doing. You got to know the moment of the game. It's the last play of the game, do or die. I mean, if you don't know what you're doing out there, ask questions, get the answer before you go out there. And so make sure guys are sound and know what they're doing. And so it just looks like we lost contain. He was able to break free and have time to set his feet and make the throw he needed to throw. So, but what's fortunate for a game like this, there was a lot of complimentary football from our offense to our defense to our special teams. Special teams getting a kickoff return for a touchdown. Josh Cameron I thought he did a great job returning punts all night. And then our offense flashed. Great catches by our receivers tonight. The one Baldwin had diving out was an outstanding effort by both Sawyer and him. And what's unfortunate is going to be overshadowed by the ending of this game. And so there was a lot of good and a lot of positive to look at. And so that's going to have to be a point for the coaching staff when they watch film with these guys. There's a lot of good we did, but when it matters, we really got to step up and make sure we're all focused and ready to continue and play as a team and finish that. So there was a lot of good, but it's unfortunate it's going to be overshadowed.
No, that's well said, Bryce, because you look, if Baylor is able to make a defensive play at the end of the game, we're talking about Monterey Baldwin making a fantastic catch. I mean, that was a full-out effort by Monterey Baldwin to get that. You're talking about Jamal Bell with the touchdown, kickoff return for a touchdown. You mentioned Josh Cameron. He's just been solid. He's been solid all year long. You're talking about a defense that knew it was going to have to get pressure on Sanders, and that they did. 8 sacks in the ball game, 12 tackles for loss. They really lived in the backfield, and Shedeur Sanders had to move most of the evening, and he had to again on that Hail Mary. And I want to ask you to break down even a little bit more, because if you go back and watch that, and it's really not too pleasant from a Baylor standpoint to watch, but you talked about trying to get that pressure on Sanders. He was able to break contain. Boy, and Linton was almost there. Steve Linton, who finished on the evening with a pair of sacks, almost had his third, but obviously almost doesn't cut it. So what's the thought process in a play like that on trying to get some pressure on the quarterback and not letting him just wind up and throw versus having as many guys dropping back in coverage as possible?
I mean, I believe it's a good call. I mean, if you got the guy containing, he's right in his face right now, and he can't have that extra time to pull up and make that throw. That's a lot faster for him to set up and have to throw. The route, it wouldn't be developed in time. And so just making sure everyone's on the same page and knowing what they're doing. And, I mean, play call's fine as long as you guys are doing what they're supposed to do. You would have got someone in his face, the route wouldn't have developed, and wouldn't have been able to get the ball off. We had guys around him all night, so I understand the mindset of trying to get after him, get him uncomfortable, make him a throw he didn't want to make. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case on that play. We did have 8 sacks tonight, but I feel like we probably left 6 or 7 more sacks out on the field tonight. And that just, when you have him running around, it makes it hard to be sticky for our secondary. So those guys got to cover for a lot longer. So that's an area of improvement, trying to get those guys up on the D-line to try to get him on the ground faster, and so those DBs don't have to cover for so long.
Well, and unfortunately, a couple of those plays proved big, really none bigger than the 58-yard touchdown pass to Omarion Miller just before halftime, right? Steve Linton almost had Sanders down, but Sanders was able to slip away, fires a pass downfield to Omarion Miller. Baylor's not able to make the tackle. His knee was almost down. Baylor came really torpedoing in on the play. Corey Gordon, though, didn't quite get him down. Miller was able to stay on his feet and run the final portion of those 58 yards for a touchdown. And honestly, you knew that was a big play in the moment, but you hoped it wouldn't be as big as it proved to be, because at that point, Bryce, I think you were looking at Baylor. They were up by a score of 24-10. You might very well go into the locker room up 2 scores, but you couldn't quite make a play there. And on the road, I think even we would talk about the sum total of some of those plays that you don't quite make. On the road, they add up a little more quickly than they do at home.
Yeah, plays like that all that does is create momentum, especially for a home team. You start putting pressure on them, and you start extending your lead. The home fans start to get pretty quiet pretty fast, but when you give them an opportunity with the explosive play like that to get back into the game and get excited again, I mean, your team feeds off it. Your offense feeds off it. If you got a little bit of momentum going into the second half, that's all they needed. And so ever since that play, I think that kind of gave them a spark, and then it got their offense rolling a little bit more in the second half. Travis Hunter got a little bit more active, and I feel like that play kind of juiced everyone up around them. And so, I mean, it's just one of those things where you got to eliminate explosive plays. You got to keep that under control and don't let it slip away. And so, unfortunately, that happened. We were able to compose ourselves after that play before half. And so, as long as, we just needed to continue that throughout the second half, and just weren't able to.
This is the post-game fan forum. Baylor falls tonight by a score of 38-31 in overtime to Colorado. If you want to join in the conversation, you can go to Baylor Athletics YouTube page and leave your comments right there in the comment section, or you can tweet us your thoughts using the hashtag BUFanForum. That is hashtag BUFanForum. A few numbers in this game. Colorado outgains Baylor 432 yards to 313. 341 to 148 through the air. Baylor 7 of 17 on third down. Colorado 8 of 18. Both teams were 1 of 2 on third down. Colorado ran more plays than Baylor, 83 to 62. The Baylor defense was on the field a lot, just over 36 minutes compared to Baylor's offense, which had the ball for just under 24 minutes. And I think Baylor's defense, in a lot of ways, for most of the game, played really well at stretches, despite having to be on the field a long time. There was a stretch in the football game where Baylor either punted or turned the ball over on downs for 5 straight drives, 3 of them in 3 plays. 3 of them were 3-and-outs. And the defense had to keep going back out there, and they made stops, but unfortunately they didn't at the end. And it results in a Colorado victory as the Bears fall to 2-2 overall, 0-1 in Big 12 play. Our Game Day Rewind segment is coming up next. We'll take a timeout, and when we return, we will hear the calls from the voice of the Bears, John Morris, J.J. Joe, and Ricky Thompson. Tough one tonight for the Bears. They fall this evening 38-31, and we'll be back after this with the post-game fan forum on the Baylor Sports Media Network.
First Central Credit Union is cheering for the Bears. Our team advantages are 5% APY free reward checking. Enjoy ATM-free refunds and be on the winning side with direct deposits 2 days early. Huddle up with First Central to make deposits 24/7 at our ATMs and suit up in a free new member t-shirt. Visit online at firstcentralcu.com. Everything we do for you.
Eligibility and application requirements apply. APY equals annual percentage yield. Member NCUA.
Premier ER and Urgent Care has all the convenience of urgent care with all the expertise of an ER, all under one roof. At every visit, be seen by ER-trained staff with on-site lab and CT, X-ray, ultrasound, and EKG. Here, you pay for the appropriate level of care that you receive, and we are in network with most major insurance providers. Premier ER and Urgent Care has 4 convenient locations serving Texas: San Marcos, Temple, Waco, and Woodway. To learn more, visit www.premier.care.
It's Ram Power Days at Allen Samuels in Waco. Get the 2025 Ram 1500 Laramie Crew Cab with an incredible $15,000 off MSRP. Or drive away in a 2024 Ram 2500 Tradesman Crew Cab with $10,000 off MSRP. A great selection with over 350 new to choose from. But hurry, these deals won't last long. Hurry into Allen Samuels in Waco today. First responders get an extra $500 off.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Are you a proud Baylor fan? Do you love prizes? The Baylor Sports app allows fans to track their attendance across athletic events and earn points using Baylor Bold Rewards. Baylor Athletics wants to reward the most loyal fans for cheering on the Bears, so register online today at BaylorBoldRewards.com or download the Baylor Sports app straight to your phone. Prizes this year are better than ever, so start earning your points today.
We're breaking down today's game on the Fan Forum. To join in the conversation, tweet your thoughts with hashtag BUFanForum or leave your comments on the YouTube or Facebook live streams. Now, back to Derek and Elliot.
Alongside Baylor legend Bryce Hager, Derek Smith with you on the post-game Fan Forum. A heartbreaker tonight as the Bears fall in Boulder 38-31. A Hail Mary at the end of regulation sends it to overtime, and a Dominic Richardson fumble just before he crosses the plane of the goal line as it was ruled on the field ends the ball game for the Bears. And again, it's a shame because it's a game, if you win, you say it was imperfect, but you're feeling pretty good if you're 3-1 and 1-0 in Big 12 play, but your fortunes can change just that quickly, and that is what happened tonight. Let's take a look at some of the big plays in this ball game. And now Baylor received the ball to start the game, was unable to move the football. They were able to get a stop, however, on Colorado. And when the Buffaloes punted, that started a big night for the Bears on special teams. Josh Cameron had a 50-plus yard punt return that set the Bears up all the way deep into Colorado territory at the 38-yard line. The Bears, however, had to settle for a field goal. That made it 3-0. So right there, you could pretty much say that special teams you could credit special teams with 3 points for the Bears as they set them up for an easy 32-yard field goal by Isaiah Hankins. Late in the first quarter, though, Colorado would answer an 11-play, 75-yard drive. Shedeur Sanders runs it in from 2 yards out to finish off the drive to make it 7-3. But it would not take long for the Bears to wrestle the lead back. Bridging the first and second quarters, the Bears put together 7 plays for 75 yards in a 2.5-minute drive that was finished off by one of the best catches we've seen in a long time, and the first touchdown pass of this season to Monterey Baldwin.
First down and 10 at the 30. Taking a shot right side. Monterey Baldwin, what a catch! Oh my, what a great diving grab by Monterey Baldwin. He caught it into the end zone. Touchdown, Baylor. One of the best catches you're ever going to see.
Bryce, we know Monterey has fantastic speed. We saw it there. Even from 30 yards out, he was able to get some distance between himself and the defensive back. And Sawyer Robertson knows that, you don't want to undershoot Monterey Baldwin, right? He's got speed, let him get to it. Maybe put a little too much on it, but he obviously didn't put too much on it because Monterey was able to reach out there again. I thought that was one of the best effort plays that we've seen from Monterey in his career.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime you got to go full extension and dive for a ball, catch it with your fingertips into the end zone, it's going to be a great play. And so that was very awesome, I think, for both quarterback and receiver just to get that chemistry dialed in a big moment like that. That's something that they'll be able to connect on for the rest of the season, building that chemistry with those guys. I think that was a great momentum boost for both of them, and I'm excited to continue to see what they do the rest of the season. But too, Baldwin's defense, man, that was an awesome effort, awesome play, awesome catch. Good ball by Sawyer, but that catch, like you said, is probably one of the best catches we'll see all year.
Monterey finished with 3 catches for 36 yards and a touchdown. The extra point gave the Bears a 10-7 lead. Colorado would answer, but the Bears would hold them to a field goal after Jace Feely, their normal kicker, was injured attempting to make a tackle on the kick return. They have had to bring in Mott off the bench, and he tied it up from 43 yards out, 10-10. But the Bears would answer immediately. We said special teams was big today. It was. Jamal Bell, who is one of the best kickoff returners in University of Nevada history, one of the best in the West Coast in the WAC over the years, Mountain West. He transferred to Baylor, and he got a chance to show us what he could do in Reno here in Waco, or in this case, Boulder.
Buffs kick it off. That is Jace Freely. And this will be returned from the goal line on the near side. Up the numbers. He's got a hold to the 30, to the 40. He's gone. He's going to take it all the way for the touchdown. Touchdown Bears. Jamal Bell doing what he does so well.
100-yard kickoff return for Jamal Bell, and that made it 17-10 Bears. Bryce, you can hear how quickly J.J. Joe recognized that Jamal Bell had a touchdown in front of him. Was that just a case of the Bears had it blocked, he saw a lane and went?
Yeah, from what I was seeing, I didn't see they didn't. Usually when you do kickoffs like that, you need to have that first layer, that second layer. That kicker is usually your third layer of kind of defense on that. And it looked like they were all playing on that first level. And so they had no one holding over the top and everyone just trying to shoot their gaps. You watching the TV copy, they're kind of getting mad at the kicker because usually the kicker's the guy who needs a last line of defense to try to slow him down. He looked like he stuck his nose in there and wanted to try to make a tackle, and that just opened it up for our kickoff return game. And I mean, I love when special teams can be a huge factor in a game, especially a away game like that. That's how you build momentum. That's how you get confidence. And if your offense or defense is struggling, it's a way to create a spark. And I think both guys did that on the return game, on kickoff and punt return tonight. Really exciting to see. Our special teams have been great the last 3 games. I just hope we're going to keep that up moving forward in the Big 12 play.
That made it 17-10 in favor of the Bears. They would get the ball right back and embark on a 4-play, 54-yard drive. The Bears going for it on 4th down. And Sawyer Robertson shows that he's got a little bit of running ability, just like DeQuan Finn, the starter this season, did. He showed a little bit of moxie there, calling his own number.
Here's the play, 4th down and 2. Robertson going to keep. He's got the first down. Oh, more! Sawyer Robertson's going to take it for a touchdown. Oh, my, on 4th and 2. Sawyer Robertson, 46 yards for the Baylor touchdown.
Extra point made it 24-10, but then that big stretch we mentioned. Baylor kicked the ball back to Colorado. Had a couple of chances to get him off the field, but Shedeur Sanders was able to extend some plays with his legs, and none bigger than this one. With 50 seconds remaining in the first half, not that we won't hear the call of this one, but with 15 seconds left in the first half, he gets away from a Steve Linton sack, sets up, finds Omarion Miller, and it ends up as a 58-yard touchdown. Corey Gordon unable to bring Miller to the ground. Just misses. I mean, Miller's knee was right there, but it was really inconclusive looking at the TV. It was called a touchdown on the field, and it looked like his knee probably was just above the turf. It turns into a 58-yard touchdown that makes it 24-17 at halftime. The third quarter was not a good one for the Bears. In fact, Baylor had a stretch after that Sawyer Robertson touchdown in which their 5 straight drives went punt, punt, turnover on downs, punt, and punt. That put the defense in a tough position. They were able to make a lot of plays, but they did give up a touchdown drive. And it was capped off by a 2-yard touchdown run by Colorado to tie the game up at 24 late third quarter. However, the Bears would get the lead back. Best throw of the night by Sawyer Robertson came after Colorado went for it on 4th down. They had the chance to go for a 52-yard field goal, but opted not to. They went for it on 4th and 8. Kyan Roberts-Day was able to get the sack on 4th down. The Bears marched down the field. Hal Presley was able to get a step on the defensive back. The defensive back tried to hold him, in fact did hold him, but it didn't matter.
So a new set of downs for the Bears, 5:50 and counting on the clock, 4th quarter. Snap back to Robertson. Pass to the end zone. Hal Presley, he's got it! Touchdown Bears! Sawyer Robertson to Hal Presley for the touchdown. And the Bears regain the lead with 5:43 to play.
Really an incredible catch there by Hal Presley and a fantastic throw by Sawyer Robertson. Again, Bryce, so many times this evening the Bears made plays that you thought, the night wasn't perfect, it wasn't easy, but they showed moxie. They made plays and did so again there. That was a fantastic throw by Sawyer Robertson, and really it was big tonight to have Hal Presley back as well, and he looked like a guy who was eager to be back out there making that catch.
I mean, yeah, we definitely flashed on all three phases tonight. Quarterback play looked great. Receivers were catching the ball. You're passing the ball to the playmakers, getting the ball in their hands. Defense was flying around, active, 8 sacks. But like I said earlier, I mean, there was a lot of sacks left on the field tonight. And when you got quarterback running around, DB's got to be sticky. I think for the most part they did a good job, but at the end, I mean, when it matters, you got to be at your best when your best is required. And so, I mean, I think we showed a lot of good stuff tonight, and hopefully we can criticize this film, look at it, get better from it, and then move on. But also highlight the good, highlight the good that we did tonight. There was a lot of good things we did.
Well, one of the good things that Baylor did was, after reclaiming the lead, immediately getting a stop and doing so in a big way. As we said, the Bears had 8 sacks this evening, and after taking that lead there, 31-24, they proceeded to sack Colorado on 4 of 5 plays, forcing a punt. I mentioned another good punt return by Josh Cameron, set the Bears up in great field goal position. In fact, Baylor started at the Colorado 28, but they lost 2 yards on the drive. And Isaiah Hankins missed a 46-yard field goal attempt that would have put the Bears up by 2 scores. Likely would have been pretty much an insurmountable lead, but instead it was still a 1-score game. And then the final drive, just pure frustration from a Baylor fan standpoint. Colorado had penalties. The Bears were able to get some stops. Colorado moved it to the Bears' 43-yard line. Shedeur Sanders nearly tied the game up with just a couple of seconds left, as the receiver Will Shepard got behind Caden Jenkins, elevated, and the ball hit him right in the numbers, but he simply dropped it. And at that point, I'll be honest, I thought there was their chance. They missed it. Now Baylor's just got to get the stop and knock the ball down and go home with a win. But as we all know, that's not what happened.
From the 43-yard line for Colorado, here's the ball game. Snap back to Shedeur Sanders. Rolls left, has time, being chased. He throws it for the end zone. It is... Oh, he may have caught it. He did! It's a catch for a touchdown by LaJonte Wester on the last play in regulation.
That pulled them within 1. The extra point tied the game up. And to overtime we went. Bryce, we broke down that play in the opening segment. But again, just to mention, the play call there was one that you want to get pressure on Sanders, you just got to deliver it. It was your take, correct?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to send an extra guy, you make sure you get there. You send an extra guy, that's one less guy in coverage, one less guy who can knock the ball down. Being on the same page is crucial on the last play of the game. I mean, even though that he caught the ball, I mean, it brought it into overtime, and so you got to know that going into overtime. And I still feel like there's opportunity to capitalize and get the game back under control, and we didn't end up doing that. And yeah, back to that Hail Mary. If you're going to send an extra guy, just make sure you got to capitalize on getting there, making sure guys are in the right spot, and if the ball's in the air, knock the ball on the ground.
Well, the Bears weren't able to do that. We go to overtime. Colorado is able to punch it in. Baylor wins the toss, obviously wants to start on defense. Colorado was able to punch it in, a 1-yard run, caps off a 7-play drive. The Bears get the ball back, and they moved it, right? Sawyer Robertson had a nice run. Dominic Richardson had some tough running. And there was that moment, once again, where it appeared that Baylor's resiliency was going to pay off. Dominic Richardson on a 1st and goal from the 2-yard line, busts right through the line. He's leaping. He's approaching the goal line. And just before he gets there, according to the referees, Travis Hunter was able to shake the ball loose, and it proved to be the final play of the game.
Here's the play. Dominic Richardson in the backfield, giving the handoff. He dives into the end zone, but he lost the ball. Is it a touchdown or a fumble? What's the call? The officials will get together. He dove into the end zone and the ball popped out. Waiting on the officials' call.
Ruling on the field is a fumble. It went outside on the back of the end zone. The previous plays on the further review.
Holy cow.
Well, obviously we know that the play was upheld. Colorado won 38-31. In between there, the fans stormed the field thinking the game was over. It was not. They were able to get him off the field somewhat quickly, but by the time the review was there, they were already on the field and they were able to go out there and celebrate again. Bryce, I want to ask you your thoughts on that final play and share my own. That was one to the naked eye right as it happened. I thought he broke the plane before the ball was loose. You go back and you see that Hunter was able to make that contact with Richardson just before the goal line. And I never really felt like I saw a great look, but it seemed like the ball might have been loose just before he crossed the plane or right as he crossed the plane. It was so close I could go either way, but I thought at the end of the day, everything we saw was whatever the call on the field was, it was not going to be overturned.
Yeah, as soon as they called a touchback on the field, I feel like it's going to be hard to dispute that. Like you said, throughout the game, the field call usually was what stood, and so I mean, as soon as that happened, saw the ball bounce to the back of the end zones, kind of knew. I was hoping it wasn't the case, but kind of knew. But I mean, hats off to Travis Hunter. The dude's a player, man. If you can play both ways at a college level, and not just play both ways, start both ways, but being the main dude on both sides of the ball. I mean, the dude's a beast, and unfortunately, he's the guy who had the one-on-one shot there and was able to make a play. But yeah, I mean, as soon as I saw the ball pop out, rainy conditions, who knows where the ball's going to bounce around to, and happened to pop in the back of the end zone. Just unfortunate, but it's the way the game goes sometimes.
It was, I could almost buy that it happened, that part of the football might have crossed the plane to the goal line, but once it was called on the field, and you could see that Hunter got to him just before he crossed the plane, and the assumption is if he lost the football, he probably started losing it right as he got hit, in theory. Right? I mean, you never know exactly, but in the absence of a great view, there was nothing there that they could see to overturn it. And that's one of those things, Bryce. I mean, you've played the game a lot. You played the game a long time at every level, from Pee Wee to the NFL. A Hail Mary is something that you see happen. Honestly, you think about it. When it happens to your team or when you pull one off in a late game situation, you're probably talking about once every generation, right? Or a final play of a game coming down to a fumble and a touchback through the end zone when it's that close to the goal line. That's a once-in-a-generation thing. I think that's the thing that stings and is going to linger for a while. It almost feels like the Bears got struck by lightning twice tonight. Is that a fair way to describe the feeling?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, Hail Mary on the last play of the game and being on the receiving end of that and losing that fast, or like you said, it happened twice. That happened, going in overtime, and then a quick into the game with a touchback, thinking you score a touchdown. I mean, that's probably my first time seeing a touchback losing you the game in overtime, probably ever. I've never seen it, but I've been on the side of losing a game on a Hail Mary, and it's no fun thinking you got the win under control, and this is that last play just takes the air out of you. But I mean, they had a second chance to get back on the field, make a play, try to win the game, and unfortunately something else like that, that's a play that just kind of takes your breath away, happened again. It's unfortunate, but it's football. Things aren't going to go your way. You're going to have to move on, forget. Got a game next week, and so this one's going to sting for a little bit, but this is the first game in conference play, and it's a long season.
Great thoughts there, Bryce. Appreciate that. Appreciate those of you who are writing down in the comments section. Our friend Cole Tompkins wanted some thoughts there on that final play. We shared them. If you want to share your thoughts on any of those final plays, you can share those as well. Hey, Bryce, quick question for you before we go to break. A lot of questions about holding calls and, at the secondary and at the line. there's a lot of chatter during the game. People felt like Colorado was getting away with a lot of holds. Is that something that you saw during the game, or is that a green and gold colored glasses thing, or is that is there some validity to that?
I mean, I appreciate when refs let guys play. So in a game like that, a big national televised game, there's going to be grabbing, there's going to be holding on both sides. And so if you're generous to one side, you're going to be should be generous to the other side. So I'd rather just let the guys play, and if you get away with something here and there, just hopefully they're not just being one-sided about it. And so I do think there were some calls that they missed, but overall I think at the end of the day you got to let the guys play and fight it out. If there's a hold here and there, I mean, it's football, stuff's going to happen. But overall, that didn't win or lose us the game. So I think the refs did a good job of making some no calls.
Appreciate those of you with us on the Baylor Athletics YouTube page tonight. Feel free to leave your comments this evening. Appreciate you being with us after a tough one. You can just go to youtube.com, search for Baylor Athletics YouTube page. You can log on to see the show in addition to its audio broadcast on our flagship station, ESPN Central Texas. You can leave your comments in the comment section for us this evening. We are brought to you by Rudy's. Rudy's, a proud sponsor of Baylor football. Be sure to stop by your local Rudy's, Rudy's.com, for some real Texas barbecue. Enjoy 100% oak-smoked meats, delicious sides, and Rudy's signature sauce. Don't forget, Rudy's serves breakfast tacos every day until 10 a.m. We'll take a timeout. We'll look at scores around the Big 12 a little bit later on. Coffee is for closers, and then we'll look ahead to next week's game against BYU. That's all on the way as we break down a tough one this evening. The Bears fall in overtime, 38-31 to Colorado, and you're listening to the post-game fan forum on the Baylor Sports Media Network.
When life gets complicated, Redback Law Firm is your one-stop for a wide range of legal needs. Whether you need estate planning documents such as a will, trust, or guardianship, or the appointment of a receiver to handle personal or business assets management and disposal, consumer protection, family-related legal matters, or various business-related issues, we are your community firm. Whether you're planning for the future, navigating a probate, or managing a business, our experienced team is ready to guide you every step of the way. Trust us to provide the legal support you need. Call today, 406-641-BUTZ. That's 406-641-2889. Or come by the Waxahachie office at 301 South Rogers Street, Suite 202, downtown Waxahachie. Come see the difference having a trusted attorney by your side can make, because at Butts Law Firm, your legal rights are our business.
Life moves fast. Your internet should move even faster. Connect, game, study, and do it all with Astound's hypersonic award-winning fiber-powered internet. It's a big deal. Call 1-800-4ASTOUND or go to astound.com to get internet for only $20 a month with a 2-year price lock. Plus, get a $100 Amazon gift card and add 5G unlimited mobile free for 12 months. Because reliable internet and better mobile is a big deal. Go to astound.com today. Restrictions apply. See astound.com for details.
At H-E-B, we know that game day is about more than the game itself. The taste of victory is unparalleled, but so is the taste of H-E-B jalapeno poppers hot off the grill. Seeing the best players in their prime is truly something to behold. So is an H-E-B Prime 1 burger that you grilled to perfection. For low prices on all the things that make game day great and delicious, visit H-E-B, your official game day headquarters, or use the My H-E-B app to start prepping for game day right away.
You're listening to Baylor football on the Baylor Sports Media Network.
From this Saturday night now was Sunday morning after a tough 38-31 loss tonight on national television. A game, if you did not have a rooting interest, it was a good one. Certainly an entertaining football game this evening. From the Bears' standpoint, gut-wrenching as they fall in overtime, 38-31. Appreciate those of you commenting on our Baylor Athletics Facebook, or rather YouTube page, I beg your pardon. Want to say thanks to those of you commenting in. One thing to mention, Todd the Show had a comment that is a good one. You know, Colorado has certainly struggled, but they have two guys that are going to get drafted top 10, and of course talking about Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, and Todd says they're always going to have a shot in games. And you know, Bryce, that's a good point. Whenever there was a key moment in this game, it seemed like those two guys were right there. They're the most talented players on the field, and they were difference makers tonight. And as we bemoan the way the game ended, you certainly have to tip your hat to players of that caliber for making big plays in a game like this.
I mean, yeah, that goes back to the quote, big-time players make big-time plays in big-time situations. And so both those guys stepped up to the plate. Whenever there was a play that needed to be made, one of those two guys was around the ball or making the play. It was from Travis Hunter making the game-saving touchdown to end the game, or Shador scrambling out to make a great throw to the back of the end zone in overtime, or for a Hail Mary to bring it to overtime. And so, when you lean on your best players in big-time moments, and that's what Colorado did tonight. Unfortunately, we weren't able to stop them, but that's what makes those guys good. They show up in big-time moments.
Few stats in this one to pass along. Sawyer Robertson, an up-and-down game tonight. He finished 11 for 21 for 148 yards, 2 touchdowns without a pick. Stretches of the game where Baylor really didn't move the football. The running game never fully got on track tonight against a Colorado team that, their defense has been up and down. So really not a lot in the passing game, although some obvious successes. Again, Robertson with 2 touchdown passes. He also finished with 9 carries for 82 yards and a touchdown. Of course, he had that long run of 45 yards, but his other 8 carries also went for 37 yards. He had a big play down to the 2-yard line in overtime. Really a nice tackle by Colorado was the only thing that kept him from getting into the end zone, and obviously that proved big when Richardson fumbled through the end zone on that next play. Richardson finished with 46 yards rushing on 18 carries. Through the air, the Bears tonight had 7 players with a reception, led by Monterey Baldwin with 3 for 36 yards and a touchdown. Hal Presley was nice tonight, 2 catches, 43 yards and a touchdown. It was nice to have him back from injury. Defensive numbers were certainly impressive this evening. Again, we mentioned at least certain numbers where Baylor finished with 8 sacks, 12 tackles for loss. Those are fantastic numbers, 3 quarterback hurries. They were in the backfield, but unfortunately, Shador Sanders was able to get away just enough. He made some big plays tonight, and none bigger than that Hail Mary again when Steve Linton was right there, almost was able to get to him, but he wasn't quite able to get there, and it results in the touchdown. Bears were led by Matt Jones, another double-digit tackling game, a second in a row, 10 tackles, a sack, and a tackle for loss. Keaton Thomas was big time tonight. 9 tackles. All 9 of them were solo. He had 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss. Steve Linton, 5 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and a quarterback hurry. Let's take a look now at scores from around the Big 12 today. A busy day in conference action, and really for most teams in the conference, it was opening weekend in Big 12 action. The first game of the day was a rout in Cincinnati. 2 of the new teams from last year met up at Nippert Stadium. Cincinnati defeated Houston, who's off to a rough start this year, by a score of 34-0. Another 11 a.m. game was delayed by inclement weather, but it was West Virginia and Kansas. Both teams started 1-2. They really needed a win, and Kansas had the lead late, but Garrett Green throws a touchdown pass with 26 seconds left, and West Virginia wins by a score of 32-28. Elsewhere in the Big 12 today, Texas Tech defeats Arizona State in Lubbock 30-22. And a big top 15 matchup in Stillwater. Utah gets the big road win playing without Cam Rising. They really hold Oklahoma State quiet most of the night. Oklahoma scores a couple of late touchdowns to make it interesting, but Utah gets that big early win, 22-19. At one point, they were holding that Oklahoma State passing game pretty quiet. Oklahoma State would finish the game 19 of 44 through the air. At one point, I believe I looked, they were 14 of 38. Ollie Gordon at one point was had 24 yards on 10 carries. He would finish with 42 yards on 11 carries. An impressive showing by the Utah Utes that, honestly, on some level makes you think, Baylor did not look good offensively in the first half against Utah, but that may be par for the course for a lot of teams that face them this year. 20th-ranked Iowa State defeated Arkansas State in a non-conference game today, 52-7 there. And an interesting one in Dallas, the Iron Skillet, a series that's gone for over a century between SMU and TCU. It's coming to an end next year. TCU dominates 66-42. They get the win today over at TCU. Sonny Dykes actually was ejected in the second half of the game, and SMU wins that one in a rout. There is one game on going, and this is a surprise, and this shows that Baylor has another tough opponent coming up next week. 13th-ranked Kansas State in Provo, losing to BYU by a score of 31-9. Kansas State is certainly an expectedly popular pick to reach Arlington, but right now they're in danger of losing their first Big 12 game of the year, unless they can pull off a monumental comeback in the second half. BYU, of course, is who Baylor will play next week. Bryce, you know nothing is going to be easy this year. The Bears aren't a team that has played well enough together long enough to make you feel like, any game's going to be that easy in Big 12 play, but you look at what BYU's doing against Kansas State tonight. You look at a lot of these close scores, and you think, boy, every game from here on out is going to be a challenge. There could be a lot of games like we saw tonight, and you got to learn to make those winning plays in them.
Yeah, it's a long season. I wouldn't expect going into any game that it's going to be a gimme. You got to prepare. You got to be ready for whoever your opponent is. Like you said tonight, they could all be like that. So you got to make sure you get ready for a dogfight, home or away, wherever. I mean, these conference games, you never know who's going to show up. Never know who wants it more. So that's what makes college football fun. Is never going to know the outcome until it happens. And so, I think we got to prepare, do what we've been doing, and get ready for BYU. It's going to be a tough one.
This is the Postgame Fan Forum. We are brought to you by Central National Bank and Rudy's Barbecue. The Baylor Coaches Show presented by Central National Bank. Live at Rudy's is back. You can join the voice of the Bears, John Morris, in a lineup of Baylor coaches at Rudy's Barbecue every Wednesday evening from 6:30 to 7:30. Get the chance to hear all the inside scoop on all of our Baylor athletic programs this season. You can join them on Wednesday night. Sick 'em Bears. Bears fall 38-31 tonight in overtime to Colorado. Coffee is for Closers is coming up next. We are going to pick our top two performers of the game, pick an area to put in the doghouse to improve on for next week on what is going to be a really, really big game. Always going to be a big game, but even more so now against BYU next week. We're talking the key performers in this game when we come back. If you want to give us your picks for Coffees for Closers, you can leave them in the comments section. Otherwise, we'll be right back on the Baylor Sports Media Network.
Premier ER and Urgent Care has all the convenience of urgent care with all the expertise of an ER, all under one roof. At every visit, be seen by ER-trained staff with on-site lab and CT, X-ray, ultrasound, and EKG. Here, you pay for the appropriate level of care that you receive, and we are in network with most major insurance providers. Premier ER and Urgent Care has 4 convenient locations serving Texas: San Marcos, Temple, Waco, and Woodway. To learn more, visit www.premier.care.
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB Your Bank for Life. Member FDIC.
Come see why Green Eye Associates is voted best in Waco year after year. Enjoy exceptional service and care from Dr. Leanne Green alongside her dedicated optometrist and staff. Receive trustworthy insights on your eye health. Enjoy the impressive variety of contacts and eyewear, and work with the most experienced optical team in Waco. Don't miss the new state-of-the-art dry eye therapies that rejuvenate the eyes and face with safe, non-invasive treatments to restore comfort and quality of life. Green Eye Associates, official optometrists of Baylor Athletics.
Hey Baylor fans, Baylor soccer season is currently underway. Come be a part of the action at Betty Lou Mays Field all season long and watch head coach Michelle Leonard and the Bears battle against the best in the Big 12. Score your tickets for game day right now at BaylorBears.com/tickets. We'll see you at Betty Lou. Sick 'em Bears.
It's time for Your coffee is for closers. The car, the steak knives, the doghouse. Tweet your winners with hashtag BUFanForum or comment on YouTube or Facebook Live.
Coffee is for closers time. Always more fun in a win tonight after a heart-wrenching loss, 38-31 in overtime to Colorado. The Bears give up a Hail Mary on the final play in regulation, and then a Dominic Richardson fumble at the goal line. Bounces through the end zone for a game-ending touchback. In a game that was close to being in the Bears' grasp, goes the way of the Buffaloes. All right, coffee is for closers. We pick our top 2 players, our top 2 areas, one or the other, depending on how we feel, to give the honorary prizes to the car and the steak knives. And we pick an area that we want to put in the doghouse for improvement next week. All right, Bryce, we're going to start with our top performers, or top performing area this evening. Last week you went with special teams following the win over Air Force, a dark horse pick, and well, I got to copy you this week. Special teams I thought was excellent today. You have the Jamal Bell kickoff return for a touchdown. Josh Cameron had a 50-plus yard punt return, overall at 97 yards, or 91 yards, I beg your pardon, on punt returns. The Bears got good punting from Palmer Williams, 55-yard long. Now, they did have that one miss this evening. Obviously, that was a big one. Isaiah Hankins missed a field goal that would have put them up by 10 points. That was pivotal, and it gave Colorado a chance to tie, which they did. On the whole, though, not to make excuses, that one was coming in the rain late. The Bears made a lot of big plays on special teams tonight, and that's where my top spot goes.
Yeah, you got to give it to special teams. They did a great job. That can be a game-changing factor, having your special team show up on away games, and so I give my overall player of the game those guys as well. Jamal Bell, kickoff returns are not easy, and if you're able to take one to the house, that only happens a handful of times across the country in college football. So who knows how much longer the kickoff is going to be like that, and so I give it to Jamal Bell. That's awesome. Same with Josh Cameron. He did an amazing job returning the ball. He almost had one of the best punt returns we've seen in a long time, breaking those 2 tackles early and taking up the sideline. He almost broke it for another touchdown. He had a couple good returns, and that one almost turned into a highlight probably for the best punt return of the year. But yeah, I give it to Jamal Bell as well.
By the way, Josh Cameron, he had that big touchdown, the first of his career against Utah, that got Baylor unstuck a bit, and he feels like one of those players. He might not be the guy who always has the 100-yard receiving game, but you need players like him to win. He just finds ways to make plays. He's done that throughout his career, and he's doing it even more so this season. All right, Bryce, second best performer, the steak knives. Where are you going?
I'm going with Sawyer. I think he did a great job not turning the ball over. A rainy game like that, ball slippery, ball can slip out of your hands. Did a great job getting the ball to his playmakers. Made 2 awesome throws for touchdowns. Ball placement was great tonight, I thought. Yeah, you had that stretch with a couple punts and a turnover on downs, but overall I think he did a great job running the ball, throwing the ball, staying in the pocket, protecting the ball, being on the road, not making any turnovers. I think he did a good job of game management and put themselves in a good chance to win that game. And so I give it to Sawyer.
Baylor scored 31 points tonight. Man, was just inches away from 30. And I realize special teams, you can give them credit for some of those points, but certainly Sawyer had a great game. And I'll give a tip of the hat to Bryce, to the linebacking core. Matt Jones, 10 tackles tonight. Keaton Thomas, 9. They combined for 18 solo tackles, 3 sacks, and 4 tackles for loss. You knew those guys were going to have to step up, and they did so this evening. Now for the doghouse, an area in which the Bears will have to improve going into next week. I'll mention 2 areas, Bryce. They're going to need more productivity from the running backs this evening. Richardson, Washington, and Richard Reese all averaged 3.1 yards per carry or less. They combined on the Dawson Pendergrass as well, 3.3 yards per carry. They combined as a group for 26 carries for make that 32 carries. I beg your pardon, 32 carries for 81 yards. You're going to need more than that from that group. And honestly, it's an easy thing to say after a win like this. Making the plays when the game is on the line, because the Bears made enough plays to force Colorado into really a tough situation. You almost never see teams lose in the situation that Baylor was in tonight, but they did because they didn't make the plays late, whether it's picking up a first down after getting great field position up by 7, whether it's Hankins missing the field goal, or whether it's the defense making a play, being in position to make a play. I think that's just an obvious area to look at and say, you're very likely against BYU and, perhaps Iowa State and others to be in some tight games again this year. You're going to have to learn to make those. You're going to have to build that muscle memory that gives you the confidence to make those plays, and it comes by executing.
I agree. I believe so. My doghouse. I'm probably going to have to go with the coaching staff and making sure players have an absolutely understanding of in-the-game situations. It's just not the first team has to know what to do and how to execute it, but you got to make sure your second team guys and your third team guys know what's going on and what their job and what their responsibility is. Because at the end of the game, long game, you don't know what guys you're going to have on defense. Usually those situations are end of half or end of game. Just making sure your situational football is dialed in. I know the coaching staff does emphasize that stuff during the week. Probably have a segment probably on Thursdays where they go over that stuff, but just completely making sure they have an absolute understanding of how serious those situations are. Those are win or lose situations, and making sure everyone's dialed in and understand the importance of it.
Might be one of those nights the coaching staff doesn't even really go home once they get back in. It may just be straight into the film room and getting ready for tomorrow. 38-31, Colorado wins in overtime. And his coffee is for closers. We'll take a timeout, come back for a final segment, get you ready for Baylor and BYU. Coming up next week, BYU has tacked on another touchdown. By the way, they lead 13th-ranked Kansas State 38-9. They are putting on a show in Provo. That's who Baylor gets to see next week. We'll come back for our final segment right after this. This is the Post-Game Fan Forum on the Baylor Sports Media Network.
Jan from Toyota here. At Toyota's National Sales Event, there's still time to squeeze more fun out of summer with an exciting new Camry, RAV4, Corolla, and more. So go on. Surprise yourself with how much you can squeeze into a Tacoma for a camping trip.
Mini fridge, hair dryer, and is that a waffle iron?
Yep. Wait, do bears like waffles? Squeeze your extended family into a Highlander for a family reunion.
All right, everybody in. Tammy, Teddy, Toady, Tommy, Dobie, Terry. Wait, where's Rex?
Or stop for some fresh squeezed lemonade in a Prius.
Wow, that looks delicious. How much do I owe ya?
$15. I also accept crypto.
Okay, now that's a squeeze.
During Toyota's National Sales Event, qualified buyers can get 3.99% APR financing for 72 months on a rugged new 2024 Tundra. Toyota, let's go places. Dealer inventory will vary. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Offer ends September 3rd and is available in select states only.
Life moves fast. Your internet should move even faster. Connect, game, study, and do it all with Astound's hypersonic award-winning fiber-powered internet. It's a big deal. Call 1-800-4ASTOUND or go to astound.com to get internet for only $20 a month with a 2-year price lock. Plus, get a $100 Amazon gift card and add 5G unlimited mobile free for 12 months. Because reliable internet and better mobile is a big deal. Go to astound.com today. Restrictions apply. See astound.com for details.
It's Ram Power Days at Allen Samuels in Waco. Get the 2025 Ram 1500 Laramie Crew Cab with an incredible $15,000 off MSRP. Or drive away in a 2024 Ram 2500 Tradesman Crew Cab with $10,000 off MSRP. A great selection with over 350 new to choose from. But hurry, these deals won't last long. Hurry into Allen Samuels in Waco today. First responders get an extra $500 off.
Come by, let's be friends.
You're listening to Baylor Football on the Baylor Sports Media Network.
Wrap things up here now early on on this Sunday morning on the post-game Fan Forum alongside Bryce Hager. Derek Smith back here with you. Bears fall 38-31 in heartbreaking fashion this evening in overtime to the Colorado Buffaloes. So Baylor now 2-2 on the season, 0-1 in Big 12 play. Next week really going to be a pivotal game. And, obviously every game's pivotal because it's the next one. You take it 1 week at a time, but it is going to be a pivotal game because Baylor doesn't want to fall a game under 500. You think about wanting to get to 6 wins and hopefully more. You missed an opportunity tonight, so you're going to have to make it up. You don't want to miss another one next week, although BYU is playing some really good football. As we mentioned, they are up right now on at Kansas State, the nation's number 13 team, 38-9. A lot of people, myself included, see Kansas State as a team that's going to be at Arlington, but BYU is routing them right now. Their quarterback, Jake Retzlaff, hasn't really put the ball in the air a whole lot, but he's 14 of 20 for 148 yards and 2 touchdowns. They've got a punt return for a touchdown this evening, and obviously their defense has stepped up big against Avery Johnson, DJ Giddens, and the Kansas State offense. BYU, incidentally, is 3-0. They beat Southern Illinois. They beat Southern SMU a couple of weeks ago, an SMU team that today dropped 66 points on TCU. Then last week they won a game they should win against Wyoming. Bryce, BYU, no matter how good they are, how good or bad their record is, a few things about BYU. They're going to be disciplined. They're going to be tough. They're going to be mature. A lot of their players are a little bit older. Coming back from Michigan, you got a lot of 24, 25-year-olds, a lot of guys who are married, and they bring that mindset, that maturity to the way they play the game. Baylor beat BYU the last time we saw them in Waco. That was in 2021. A really dominant win for the Bears. Then they lost in Provo 2 seasons ago. So we say BYU is going to be tough and mature and disciplined. It means Baylor's going to have to be that much more so. Those 3 things to get a win next week.
I know. Biggest thing for us, we got to digest this game, learn from it, make sure we highlight what we did well and highlight what we need to work on and what we need to improve on. Take those coaching points and be critical of ourselves. This is a big week. You got a Big 12 game in your home stadium. Fans are going to be excited. You got to come out with a win. Like you said, this game's big because if you walk out with a loss, you're going to be under 500. Then you're fighting behind the ball the rest of the season. So if we can take care of what we can control, play good, sound, complementary football, offense, defense, special teams, do their jobs, don't turn the ball over. Time of possession is going to be big again, it always is, and continue to clean up our tackling. Our defensive line has been pretty active the last couple of games. Those guys can finish plays, get the quarterback on the ground, create some sack fumbles, some turnovers like that, and DBs can stay clean in the secondary with PIs. I think we got a real shot to have a good little stretch, a good run going forward. But I really think it's time to focus and learn from this game and move on.
Well, Bryce, to add to what you said, and to end on a positive note, you want to look at the film, learn from your mistakes, as you said, and recognize that there were a lot of positives. I think the effort we saw tonight was one that is going to win you some football games. Execution could stand to be a little bit better, but it wasn't as if things went perfect tonight. The offense struggled at times. Shador Sanders was able to make some plays, but you had the game right there for the taking. You just weren't able to get to take it. But that kind of effort, it's a discouraging loss in the moment, but if you take away the positives, you can make sure that it's just one loss, that it doesn't turn into 2, which is kind of the cliche here, but it's certainly true after a game like this one. Well, it's Baylor and BYU next week at McLean Stadium. Time still TBD. We got the 6-day window. We should know later today at some point on Sunday when that game's going to be. I hope to see people out at McLean Stadium. We'll be in Touchdown Alley with the pregame show 2 hours prior, the tailgate show, and, of course, after the game, Bryce and I will have the Fan Forum for you once again live from McLean Stadium. Well, Bryce, tough one tonight, but hopefully bounce back next week. Always good to visit with you, and we'll see you next week in Waco.
Let's move on, learn from that game, and let's beat BYU next week.
That sounds good. Again, keep your eyes peeled to BaylorBears.com or BU Football Twitter. They'll let you know the game time just as soon as it is available. Well, that'll wrap things up here after a hard-fought ball game that goes the way of the Buffaloes tonight, 38-31 in overtime. We want to say thanks to our producer, Aaron Sexton, our flagship station studios, ESPN Central Texas in Waco. Appreciate all of you being with us tonight, and everyone, again, on Baylor Athletics YouTube, as well as on our flagship station, ESPN Central Texas. Thanks again to Aaron Sexton. Speaking for him and Bryce Hager, I'm Derek Smith. Thanks for being with us. Good night, everyone.